Hey everyone, I am back with another episode live from the south of France at Cannes Lions. Today I have a longtime internet friend turned, I guess, like IRL friend.
Yes.
I'm excited to see what we keep building. But I have Shermin here. She's the founder of LVLUP Legal, The First Call, The Connected Table,
Yep.
and Tiger
Creative.
So she's really doing it all, my kind of girl. We all have to learn that. And on top of that, obviously, I mentioned LVLUP Legal. She is a lawyer. So today we're going to be talking about creator etiquette as it pertains to media, as it pertains to what creators need to know about protecting their IP, about doing everything they can and working with a lawyer, or when they should start working with a lawyer to build their career. So welcome.
Thank you. Absolutely being here. It's been such a conversation about IP. I've heard the word creator economy probably more times than I want to, but it makes a lot of sense because right now more than ever, this really goes to show you like how much IP is valuable for creators and how much they need to protect themselves with contracts. And the contracts here are insane.
Yeah, the contracts here happening at Cannes.
Yeah. The deals I see here happening, and even just the level of creator here is insane.
It is insane. I actually just ran into a really, really big creator, Darman, and it was kind of like a moment where I was like, and I've been running into big creators. I went up to David Dobrik and I like interviewed him, and I'm like, wow, like the barrier between like here and here of like super mega creator and where you're at right now is actually one conversation away. It doesn't mean like that they're any better or any more strategic, which maybe they are in some ways, but they are still human first. And that's been something I've loved experiencing while I'm here.
Same. You could be in the bathroom line here and be like next to the CMO of Mercedes-Benz. It doesn't even matter.
It literally
which
doesn't
is
matter.
amazing.
It's
And
like, oh, your screensaver's your dog. That's so cute. I love dogs too.
yeah, and I think the conversation always starts with how hot it is here and like what the plans are, which has been great, but it's all nice because it's all in one area.
Totally.
So having the concentration of just immense talent has been so cool.
Yeah.
Like even when I went to the Microsoft event, it was like Sophie Tucker's there, and like coming here to the Adobe Beach, I'm like, it is insane how brands are activating, but it just shows that the marketing here is out of control because the creators really are bringing in business and bringing in eyes and ears and everything that these brands need.
Totally. So let's jump right into it, because I think there's a really big gap between creators that know what they want and creators that think they know what they want in their career. And a lot of times they'll say, I just want an agent, when really they might need a, in-house counsel attorney, or they'll say, I want a, brand deal, but then they're not sure how to actually broker that brand deal. What do you think is the biggest gap when it comes to contracts and when it comes to a creator advocating for themselves? And then we'll build on that. Build on it.
Yeah. I have kind of a controversial thought on this. So obviously the world of agency has been huge and there are a lot of agencies here, but transparently, a lot of creators get inbound in their DMs or are getting reached out. And as someone who has an agency who's worked with brands like Amazon Live, we liked people who represented themselves, to be quite honest, versus working with a large agency. And what I've been seeing is that unless you need somebody to negotiate for you or you are just too busy, having a lawyer is actually a stronger suit than having an actual agent. And this is because a lot of them are just taking 20% of your deals. They're not doing a lot of outreach, but they do have a couple connections, but really they're just negotiating for you. And sometimes people who are like brand new are sending a couple emails and taking 20% of a deal. So I think having a lawyer is probably a lot better if your deals are in the 5 to 6 figure range, because we can negotiate the certain clauses, ad usage. And also what I do is I keep a calendar of like when ad usage ends to like make sure to re-up that.
That's smart.
But the types of negotiations are really important, including exclusivity, and also something people don't know about is the morals clause. If you're doing a really big deal and you are a celebrity and something happens, you don't want the deal to end because of a morals clause of something that you said or something you believe in that they want to pull the deal from.
Yeah.
That's been a really interesting thing to think about too.
Are you seeing that happen more and more right now? Like, since I feel like being a creator can be so polarizing, to be really political right now?
A little bit, I've seen some of it, especially if people want to talk about like their cultural or religious beliefs. But a question I keep getting asked about is recently how, and who was here at Cannes Lions was Priyanka Chopra, how she has been able to be the face of Rolex, Bulgari, and a lot of different competing brands. I think she also is part of another luxury jewelry brand. And it's like, how can she represent competitors? It's because of a carve-out clause where in her Bulgari contract, she carved out watches specifically so that she could do brands like Rolex.
Yeah.
So there's things like that in contracts that creators need to really focus on.
And you think it's going to start happening more and more?
Oh my God, yeah. Because right now there's just so many different brands and like so many different figures that they want to be aligned and have those opportunities. Yeah. So having those carve-outs is key. But a lot of times people don't know. It's kind of like when people first started doing creator contracts and they were like, oh, you can have ad usage forever, or you can, have anything you want. You can do whatever you want with my content. And now it's like, you got to pay for that.
Totally. Something I've been paying attention to a lot is obviously exclusivity, but it's been coming up in conversation a lot about the use of AI in content. And if a creator uses AI to ideate or in a part of their workflow, is that technically a breach? Or is it just, you can't use like an AI clone of yourself for the video that they're talking about? Or is it that, you can't use AI to edit? Like what part of the entire process are they talking about when they add AI clauses in? Are you seeing any updates in that? And also, what can creators watch out for so that they don't accidentally, upload their contract into an LLM and all of a sudden there's confidential information just like out there?
Very true. So it's kind of like that whole phase when people were like, if you take a logo and build it on Canva, you don't really own it.
Right.
But there is a little bit of caveat there. I do see contracts all the time where they're like, you can't use AI clones of yourself to develop this content. But I know pretty much everybody is using AI to do their scripts and using just different tools. But right now, I think there's a lot of interesting things happening. And this is also my theory on AI. These AI clones that people are making, brands are using them and being able to produce like 20, 30, 40 pieces of content super quickly.
Yeah.
And so why would they be paying a creator so much? They can get a UGC creator who is going to give them their name, image, and likeness, and they can build a ton of videos off of that and scale it out and put as much ad usage behind it. That's one avenue. So I think for creators, focusing on AI is important, but mostly I think that they need to really focus on their core audience and making sure they have an engaged audience. And that's where I think a lot of these deals with Substack are coming out, or just being more of a thought leader, building out your newsletter, building out your community is more important than ever. In-person events, I know you do a lot of in-person events and people really want to have that, and even coming here. So AI clones, I think it's really going to be something brands use. Creators have to be careful. Obviously, if you're going to be using AI, why would they use you in terms of like using a different like AI clone of yourself? But obviously there's different tools you can use to develop that content. But really it's about having that engaged audience. And I really don't think numbers matter anymore. It's about having people that really like you and can follow your journey.
That makes a ton of sense. The next question I'm curious about your thoughts on has to do with a creator owning their IP, because I feel like that was like a huge topic in 2024, 2025. But what does that really mean? For me, that meant like, okay, I just want to get some trademarks done. And like, even we talked about it. And something that I think actually is important to talk about is the fact that like, it's normal to kind of like shop around and chat with like different people and find the team that works. And like, I'm like, I would have loved to work with you, but also like we talked, like I had like with my family, like I was able to like use somebody.
Always use somebody that you know. Like, why would that's another thing. When you are a creator and you're building a business, like find the resources you need to.
Yeah. Because it can be expensive.
It can be.
And to start, just for context, I mean, I don't know what your rates are today, but like I've heard anything from, minimum $1,200 for a trademark, for one trademark to be registered, all the way up to like $3,500, $4,500, depending on the class and office actions included and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, you're well versed.
Oh, I am well versed, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I've done my research in depth.
Yeah. So one thing that we did when we started our firm, so I've been in business for 8 years now, is that we offered flat fees because the transparency really matters.
Yeah.
So we do flat fee services for trademarks specifically. And owning your IP is really about creating a personal brand, which is obviously a huge topic here. And I've seen more than ever how important it is for creators to diversify. So yes, you film content and you get brand deals. That's just like really one aspect of that, but I've seen most creators, and I work with a lot of creators who build businesses, whether that's in beauty, a lot in tech right now. Here is really focused on tech creators, which has been awesome.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are building AI courses, coaching businesses. There you have to really, copyright your content, make sure that you are having the right privacy policies. I actually met somebody who, and we've dealt with this too, had an AI chatbot as part of their business. But if you don't have your chatbot triggered to have the right, like if someone says something and you don't have the right response to it, it can actually lead to a lot of privacy issues and terms and condition issues. And so people have been getting cease and desists.
Wow.
Another thing is, cease and desist letters. If someone is taking your trademark concept, business name, like you can get a cease and desist.
Wow.
And so copying content is very interesting. It's really important to be original right now.
Another thing that came up for me when you mentioned cease and desist is now everyone's using AI to create and generate content, right? I have seen this time and time again where I'll see one creator's content, but then the next video about it is about how some other creator, is claiming that, well, they just use ChatGPT to get their output. And this one creator is like, I didn't use AI for this at all. Like, this came from my brain. And I don't know if it's that they're both prompting the same way or that they're using the same LLM, or because they've prompted it, that when somebody else says, for example, write me a post about Cannes Lions and creator IP,
right.
If you and I have made a post about it and we've chatted with AI about it before, or maybe we haven't, maybe we come up as sources and maybe it's sourcing info from our posts and videos. And then the person is like, well, I use ChatGPT for this. That didn't come from like copying you. And I've just seen a lot of creators like be like, oh, well, this person sucks and they're blatantly stealing this and I'm going to block them. So I'm curious, like, is it even worth pursuing telling a creator at this point to like take their content down if you feel like it's copying you? Because in a way, everyone's going to steal like an artist,
You know what? I've been thinking about that too. And I've been hearing that a lot as well. People being like, yeah, this person just uses ChatGPT. It's a lot. To be transparent, obviously, it's a really competitive industry.
Yeah.
It's kind of like being an actor in terms of like how that all works. But, once you put an idea into open source, it's available to anybody, right?
Right.
So then, yes, of course, ChatGPT might give you that concept. But I think it goes back to what makes a creator valuable now. And really, it is about critical thinking.
Yeah.
Like I have of somebody that I know has a Substack. It's actually Cassandra Gray. It's great. And it's literally her stream of thought. And I'm like, this is great because she's just writing this from like her head to the paper. So I think that's been something that creators are really, I think would be really interesting. But now I think it's all about speed and output.
Right.
So people will put everything into chat, try to find their concept, and then they're just trying to push out as much content as possible. From the protection standpoint, I don't think it's worth it anymore to send a cease and desist unless you have a trademarked brand name or a concept that you're like, I really need to protect this. If it's something that's a style, so there was a case that just came out from an Amazon creator called Sydney. I think her last name is Sloan, or Sydney, I forget her last name. But she had that like clean beige aesthetic.
Yeah.
And she filed a claim against someone who was copying that. And it's like, how do you really say like,
when like
I'm the creator of this like clean beige aesthetic when everyone's doing that?
And on that note, I have another question for you, because there are a million agencies. My show is called Creator Etiquette, but there's a show called Creator Genius or Creator Logic.
You don't
or
own the word creator.
Yeah, but I have the trademark on Creator Etiquette.
Right.
So at what point, like for me, I was like, I just want to do that because, I don't know, there's Creator College. None of these things are trademarked, at least when we did our search.
Yeah.
We didn't see any of this in creator education.
Right.
And I'm starting to wonder, well, where are their attorneys? Like, and why has nobody advised them on that so far? So I'm just kind of curious about like names on a business, like a word mark on the concept of a business, rather than like the difference for a creator in copywriting a bunch of material versus trademarking their business name that is the vessel that holds the material.
So what's interesting is I get a lot of people being like, I trademarked my name, but like people are using something similar. Like if you see Creator College, you're like, well, why did I trademark my name to begin with? The purpose is because you're thinking from a long-term standpoint, if you are ever going to sell or get acquired or really license that brand.
Right.
So yes, of course, it's important to protect it, but you have to think more long-term in terms of like, how are you going to make it an equitable asset?
Totally.
And so if you're ever going to do that, or even put something on a platform like Adobe or, you know, one of these other big kind of like streaming platforms, you need to have the trademark in place, because I've had clients that try to do it towards the end and it's impossible to get.
Right.
And then they're at this sticking point, like, do we change the name? Do we rebrand? So getting it in advance is more about building long-term equity in the brand. Yes, protecting it's important, but when you have something that is really, really just like you have a really high brand value in that creator etiquette, because it's like hard to get now.
Yeah.
So now if someone tried to get it that would want it to scale and license, they would be the ones that have to change their name.
Totally.
If they wanted to do that. You can send cease and desist, which helps get you more, so people can recognize you more, but then their defense is like, you can't own the word creator.
Yeah.
And creator college is different from creator etiquette.
Of course it is. Yeah. I totally love everyone in this like building resources for creator space.
Yeah.
And I really do think obviously access to legal advice and legal help is so challenging for people to get. They can follow people like you, but there's only a certain level that they can get to without actually like paying in. And a lot of creators really even struggle to get past that. So you mentioned it's really valuable to get an attorney at the 5 to 6 figure brand deal range.
Right.
Is it valuable for a creator to pursue a trademark registration before potentially hiring somebody to come in-house on counsel?
So I think it's important to do it if you really have the vision. And that's what I've been seeing here. It's like everyone has a lot of vision and what they want to do.
Yeah.
So if you have a plan to build a business outside of that, a service or a product, definitely get a trademark. If your personal brand is going to be something that you're going to create an equitable asset on, then definitely get a trademark.
Right.
But it is a lot more than that. It's a lot more about protecting like what you want to build, where you want to go with it. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because like when I built my law firm, I thought about all the things that I wanted to do and the people I wanted to work with. So I started marketing my business on social media as how I built my business.
That's how I found you, I think, on LinkedIn.
Yeah, through LinkedIn. I'm a big LinkedIn girl. I love it. Yes. But it's really about how you get exposure, and it's kind of full circle. I started posting in 2019 for my business, and now I'm kind of known as the attorney that works with creators, brands, and startups. And I think people want to work with people they trust, people who understand their business. And I've been in this industry for a long time. So it really is about that, getting out there, you know, getting exposure and being accessible. And that's what I've always been about. So it's not that creators don't know attorneys in big law firms, because it's like, how much is it going to cost me? How do I get in contact with them? I don't want to sit there and have like a weird meeting in person. And your virtual meetings, flat fees, and you can find me places like here.
Of course.
And get to know me as a person.
Absolutely.
Shermin just laid out what it actually takes to run your content like a business instead of a hobby. Systems, invoicing, contracts, and the stuff that doesn't show up on camera. This segment is a part of our partnership with Adobe Acrobat, and contracts are exactly where these problems show up first. When a brand deal lands, you open the agreement, fill it out, and sign it right from your phone with no printer, no scanner needed. And if you need the brand's team to sign too, you can request their signature and track exactly when it's viewed and signed so the deal doesn't stall in someone's inbox. Treating yourself like a business starts with how you handle the paperwork. Acrobat makes that part effortless. Sign, send, and close wherever you're building.
I have met a lot of amazing creator attorneys at these conferences, like at Possible, at South by Southwest, here in Cannes, at VidCon even, and we've just had such unique conversations that I really don't even hear, which brings me to my next point, which is about the future of FTC guidelines and how brands can best support creators to understand them. Because what I've noticed is a brand will send a creator a super long brief, maybe like 16, 20, 36, I've even gotten a 62-page brief at one point, granted, pharma, but with that comes guidelines, you know, and it's really serious. It's really like, oh my God, you have to hit all of these things or else maybe the brand gets the fine or Pfizer gets a fine, and then the ad has to get taken down, and things change over time. And for me, like, I read all my stuff, and my team reads all my stuff, but for newer creators, maybe they don't, and maybe they miss something with the FTC guidelines. So what is the way that brands can best support creators to be educated about how to navigate FTC guidelines?
Well, first of all, a 62-page brief is a lot, so that's probably not the best way for brands to do it.
Totally.
But they did give the notice, right? So having that. I think having a strong team, I've met a lot of really great people who are head of partnerships or CMOs, like having the conversation and just saying like, hey, this is the brief, but like also make sure you hit this, this, and this, and just communicating that. And then for creators, this goes back to AI. Take the brief, put it into your AI tool, whether it's Chat or Claude, and be like, what do I need to make sure I hit on the points for this video? And just make sure to do that. I think a lot of creators are concerned about, well, it's going to feel too like ad-like or too salesy.
Right.
But there's things you can negotiate. So brands do want to have the right types of ads. Like right now, creators are the advertising vehicle. So if it's something you're not comfortable putting on your page and you're like, this is really ad-like, a lot of times the brands don't care as much about having it on your page. What they're trying to do is get the ad usage and the whitelisting to create an ad. So you could say like, hey, I'm okay with maybe letting go of a couple thousand here, but let's focus on ad usage and whitelisting, and I'd rather you guys just use it for that. And I've seen creators crush it just doing whitelisting and ad, and then they feel comfortable being like almost a commercial for the brand.
I've been doing that more this year.
Yeah, it's like might as well, because if it's something that is like Pfizer, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not like, because you have like a whole creator etiquette, you talk to like women.
For sure.
It makes sense, but like it's also when someone is going to search that, they see your face, you're trusted.
Of course, yeah.
But it's more for the brand to use.
Totally. And like the context is that I did work with a migraine medication, and it was actually really unique because I talked about this story on a previous episode with the founder of #Paid.
Yeah.
And I had gotten a brand deal with a company called Nurtec, which is owned by which is migraine medication, owned by a small pharma company called Biohaven, which then after the account went to a different agency to manage, they came back to me, but then they were acquired by Pfizer. So the rules and the content that I created was completely different. And I actually multiple times have had to take down the old content once it was acquired by Pfizer because of the way that like the FTC guidelines are. And also was something to keep in mind, at least with pharma, and I'm not sure if this will change over time with other industries, which I would assume it would, is that with the pharma ads on social, you have to have this like disclaimer on the end of it and the label on it. So it's almost like it looks like a label on the box on like the bottom of it that has like, you know, super, super tiny little disclaimers on it.
Yeah.
And then let's say the ad is 15 seconds. You had to have like 30 or 45 seconds of a disclaimer on the end, but they were running an ad on it.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter because they were boosting it out. And at the end of the day, I think the ad ran had like 9.2 million views or something.
Right.
And a bunch, like thousands of comments. And I was like, that's great. I'm kind of confused here because it's so long and literally at 45 seconds is just silence with the disclaimer.
Well, that's what it is. The brand cares about that.
Yeah.
And so I think it also goes back to creators being so concerned about their numbers. Like a lot of them are like, please engage with this because it's a brand deal. Like the brands are not so focused on number of followers, numbers of views. It's really about the ad usage now and making sure that they're able to put the dollars behind it to get the views to the right audience. And that's what really creators need to focus on. Like another thing I see creators doing with legal is like they are negotiating so much. And my biggest piece of advice to creators is if you are a creative, focus on creating.
Totally.
I'm staying with my friend, Avni Barman. I think she works with Adobe too, and she's a really good tech creator. And she made
friend.
Oh, she's good. Yeah, she's sleeping right now. She was that late. We had this conversation. She's like, there's two types of people in the world. There's the makers and then there's the managers. Makers, she's a maker. So she focuses on creating 8 to 10 pieces of content a day.
Totally.
And that's all she focuses on. And people like me are managers where I have multiple businesses. I'm like very in a lot of different things. I know how to communicate. I know how to like secure deals, not necessarily a maker that's focused on a one thing. So if you were a creator, focus on being a maker unless you're trying to diversify into businesses.
Right.
Because then you are really just building out capital.
Totally.
I talked to, I have a creator that I represent. And so she said, she's like, I want to make $1 million a year. And I said, all right, rather than spending all your time emailing and negotiating for a couple $1,000s, let's focus on this. You do 5 to 10 videos a month and your price range is between $5,000 to $10,000 a video. And yes, it might not be the highest amount. And of course we get more than that. We've gotten one where she gets 60 grand for like a long-term deal. But if you break it down, I'm like, all right, that's what you're going to be doing. And so she focuses on that. She's making $10,000 to $12,000 a month. and she's no more than that. Sorry,
A deal.
And then she was making $1 million a year.
Yeah.
So it's like, focus on like, break it down and make it work for you.
Yeah.
And she's less stressed out doing the admin and all the stress of like negotiating, because she's like, I am a maker. I'm going to create the content and it's just going to build me my money. And then I'm going to focus on the things that I love to do.
Okay, I have a couple rapid fire / wrap up questions.
Yeah.
But on that note, the last question, I'm interested to know more about how creators can approach brands and communicate to brands, convince brands, pitch brands, how to run whitelisted or ad usage and exclusivity, and how they can justify costs for that, and what's really reasonable there, is my question. Sorry.
So rule of thumb is like every 30 days of whitelisting is about 50 to 60% of what your average real cost is.
50 to 60%?
Of that.
Like not like 10 to 20.
No, you should be like, it's like like whatever, if your video
I'm shocked.
cost, oh yeah, this is like how you should be charging that, because that's what they care about. Realistically, the way that the algorithm is working, unless you have an incredibly huge following, most videos are getting like, you know, it depends on the following obviously, but like under 1,000 likes and comments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Unless you're huge. And so I know a lot of creators are stressing about that. They're like, that video tanked, it didn't do so well, it's so addy. Great. Like, your audience saw it, but the brand is like, I need it to direct to a new audience. Right. And so I think that if a brand is coming to you with a huge brief and you already know that they're a brand with a lot of capital and they are going to put ad usage behind it, then you just pitch it to them. You just, my favorite way to pitch to a brand is think about the brand, give them some ideas for content first, because a lot of the teams, like, they want to hear your creativity.
Totally.
So be like, this is what I can do. This is when I can deliver it. This is the concept. What are your thoughts? They will come back, and then they can, if they're giving you these huge briefs, pitch the ad usage, but always pitch it to begin with, because that's what they really care about.
Totally.
And then in the end of the email, have an action item. Jump on a call where, like, do you have a contract for me to sign? What are the next steps? This is where I'm ready to do it. Like, kind of have it, build that momentum, because I think a lot of it is you're answering questions, but like, you need to lead and direct into the next step.
Totally.
Yeah, and it's a big one.
What is your creator etiquette tip that you wish every creator knew?
I think the biggest creator etiquette tip I could give is be a maker. Focus on being a creator and hire people like lawyers, managers, admins to really do the negotiation for you and get you the most money. Make sure you're protected.
Yeah.
And think about things like whitelisting, ad usage, exclusivity, and where you should be charging more for that. And then focus less on the numbers, focus more on your engaged audience, and think about what the brand really wants in terms of you being a vehicle for that advertisement.
Totally.
And do things you're passionate about.
I have one more question, actually.
Yeah.
Which is, let's say this is a little masterclass that we're getting, a real question, okay? That people have asked me about before. Let's say a creator's in a relationship with a talent manager or an agent and they want to jump ship because they're not happy.
Yeah.
Does a lawyer need to get involved, and at what point?
This is a really good question. So when you are signing these agency deals, of course, they're going to take a percentage of anything that they're bringing you. There's also usually a sunset clause that even if you terminate, they still get a percentage of those deals for a certain amount of years, or there's a termination fee sometimes, or a cancellation penalty. That's been a big deal. Also, sometimes you can't get out of these deals. I've had to do demand letters and almost went all the way to litigation to get out of these deals. So when you're signing something, be super careful. Ideally, you want to be non-exclusive. I sign everybody non-exclusively because I'm like, everyone can, do what they feel, but that's not always the case. And also, a big thing that I've noticed is, yes, they want a percentage of your deals, the things they source you, anything they touch, but it's actually called the Bethany Clause, Bethany Frankel. You need to carve out any pre-existing business or future business, equity deals, book deals, things that you're going to build that they are not sourcing for you yet, because then they can take a percentage of that. She did that with the Real Housewives of New York, and now Bravo didn't get a piece of Skinny Girl or any of that.
Wow. Yeah, I find that is really important. But ultimately, I was like, my speaking, my agency clients, my book deals, all of that is mine. and you just handle brand deals and that would be it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
oh my God. Well, this has been so awesome. Thank you so much. Can't wait for all the fun things that we're doing. You guys make sure you stay tuned for everything to come. Go follow Shermin. I'll put everything in the comments. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Thank you. Yay, we did it.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. There's like a really adorable dog back there.
Oh.
It's a Malinois, and it's so cute. He's like a little police dog. Guys. This is what happens when Gigi's around. Her attention.
Are you a dog girl?
Oh, my dogs are influencers. They have brand deals.
Oh my God.
I love him. He's like cute. And one of my close friends has a Malinois. So cute. Anyway, I'm super distracted by the dog. So cute. I think the dog is like getting situated with the water. Okay, I will stop staring at the dog now.